Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome into a special NBA Cup, in-season tournament edition of Get Off the Damn Fence. I'm your host, Larry Caution, joined as I am each and every week for Get Off the Damn Fence with co-hosts Calvin Thomas and Justin B.A. the Barber Harris. How y'all doing tonight, gentlemen?
Hey, what's happening?
We are here for a YouTube exclusive. We thank all the people of YouTube for tuning in tonight. We are doing something a little different, but we appreciate you. We know normally you see us on Facebook and YouTube, but we decided we want to do something just for the YouTube people. So we hope as the show goes on, we get more people in the chat, chime in, tell a friend that we're on tonight on a special edition to Get Off the Damn Fence, which should be pretty good tonight. And we're just talking all NBA tonight. So, fellas, did y'all get a chance to consume everything that was the NBA in-season tournament from night one? I know we were busy last night filming, but I went back and was able to catch up on a few things. Calvin, what was your overall take on what you saw night one without getting into too many specifics? How'd you like it?
Man, the only thing that was important was them welcoming Clay back to the Bay correctly. So that was a special moment. You know, every time I hear that he's back, like that just takes me back to that moment that he went back on the court 2 years ago when he won the title. So that was the best moment of night one for me. Just welcoming Clay back correctly, even though they got the dub and he was on the opposite end of a Steph shimmy. So it comes full circle sometimes.
Without specifics, yeah, you know, directions.
It was specifics. It was specific. It was still important to me.
I thought I heard. I just want to make sure that my
what was your overall feel? You know what I mean, Justin? What was your thoughts?
My overall feel for the in-season tournament part one, as in night one, was it was iffy. It was iffy, and I'm not even trying to ride the fence pause. It was just the fact that it was like had some okay moments and had some bad moments, which we'll get into.
Yeah, definitely. We'll definitely get into it. And again, if you
see, this is what happens when you don't listen to the instructions, you get kicked off for a little bit.
You'd be having this technical difficulties. But again, night one, I thought it was very interesting. Anybody who, just tuning in for the first time, you didn't really pay attention last year. There was some changes, some tweaks. So first of all, you might be behind a rock. A lot of people don't watch the NBA until Christmas Day, or they got this rule the NBA don't start till after Christmas, so you really haven't been keeping up with what's going on. So before we get too deep into what's been happening with the actual tournament, let's talk about what's been happening this past week in the NBA, because really the story of this season so far for me, and I think anybody who's been paying attention, has to be what's been happening in Cleveland. The Cleveland Cavaliers have been on fire. I mean, 12-0. I know we did our preseason show a couple weeks ago. We had our discussions about who would be the best teams and what teams we were looking to see take that next step, who we thought could be the top 4 seeds in the Eastern Conference. And that was an interesting discussion that I'm going to go back to that and play a clip from that in the probably on our next show, and just review how we thought things would turn out. But Cleveland, I know this was a team you had questions about, Justin. And what are your thoughts? How they've been starting, and how are they living up to the billing? I know you questioned Donovan Mitchell.
I didn't question him too hard. I said they was going to be number 3 in the overall Eastern Conference, and it was based off the fact that they. Yeah, you can check the records. I don't need you to look like that. I
know you had questioned Donovan Mitchell.
It wasn't a question that Donovan Mitchell isn't, as in like, is he not that guy? It was more so like I saw what they did last year. I saw how they was able to win games without Donovan Mitchell and also without Darius Garland. So they're learning to play with injuries through their key players. That's what they did last year. So now that everyone's healthy this year, and it seems like Darius Garland got something, maybe got something to prove this year to go along with Donovan Mitchell. They are doing. I didn't expect them to go 12-0 off top, but I did expect them to be number 3 in the East.
Calvin, your thoughts on what you've been seeing from the Cavaliers thus far?
Look, they probably have the best backcourt this year thus far. Donovan Mitchell and Darius Garland have really meshed well together. especially Evan Mobley has stepped up, expanded his game to learn to hit that corner three, so he can kind of get some more spacing, and allowed him to play better with Jared Allen as well. So they have spacing, they have great guard play. They rolling right now. I didn't expect, like the Justin said, it's 12-0. But right now they're rolling. And they've beaten out some good teams. They've beaten Boston. They've beaten Boston at home, I believe. They ran the court. They've beaten Orlando, even this was post Pago injury. So they're playing really well, really great basketball right now. So you can't take anything away from them. But I think it's just the key. They have the best backcourt. They have a stretch forward now. They're able to spread the court and give Donovan Mitchell, who likes to slash and could get to the basket, more room to operate because you only have one big down there. So they're playing great basketball right now. You can't take anything away from them.
And one of the things about this tournament coming so early in the season, really, you got a couple weeks, but that's really not a large enough sample size to you really make any, definitive observations to say this is how the season is going to pan out. Because if you look at the Western Conference, an injury or two can change the landscape so quickly.
Injuries too.
And there are injuries galore. And just to finish, just these past week, the Eastern Conference and Western Conference Player of the Week, you had Darius Garland in the East. They went 4-0, 25 points a game. Again, that's playing with Donovan Mitchell, who has also been playing sensational side by side. So they're learning how to play together. But then when you look at the Western Conference, which is very, very close, it's not like anybody's really pulling away. You got a lot of teams really bunched up there. Denver started off very slowly. I mean, I think they were like 2-4, 2-5. Like they had a pretty bad record, and now they have 3 losses on the season. Nikola Jokic, whether you can say what you want, and this is with people out of the lineup. I know he gets a lot of flack. The guy averaged 29, 15, and 14 last week and put the team on his back. I know he gets a lot of flack. A lot of people, even on this very program a few weeks ago, we had King on. King took shots at Jokic. We had people saying that Joker not that good. He's overrated. Calvin, I know you don't think he deserved the MVP or two, but the guy continues to do whatever it takes to take his team to the next level, and you got to give him credit. They have turned this thing around. Justin, your thoughts on Jokic?
On the Nuggets itself, we got to show some love to Russell Westbrook. That's what we're going to do. Jamal Murray was out a few of those games, and
he was out the last 3 wins.
And he came in and started to turn back the clock a little bit. Not be awful Russell. We don't like to see awful Russell. We like to see high energy, somewhat efficient Russell. And he was on a positive side of that. And Joker, I guess, took it upon himself to be a little bit more dominant, be a little bit more assertive, and as a result, they started to run off a few wins. So Denver is doing what they should do. That is an MVP. I mean, arguably, Jokic should probably be a top 10 big, almost trying to push into top 15, top 20 of all time. So he's still in his prime, and he should do what he's doing right now.
Calvin, you just continue to have no faith in this guy. Go ahead.
No, it ain't that. Look, I was high on Jamal Murray, but we see that Jokic is kind of taking over. With post Jamal Murray injury, Russ has stepped up and put up better numbers alongside Jokic. Just want to see if this is sustainable. He's playing 42 minutes just to get these 4 wins, and they're barely beating teams. They're poor defensively. I'm sorry. So how long can he keep this up? I'm not doubting Jokic's greatness. Do I think was overrated the last couple of years? Yes, but I'm not doubting his greatness. But I just want to see if he's able to keep this up, even with no Jamal Murray, even with Michael Porter being up and down streaky, even with Russ not being able to stretch the floor as well. So I just want to see if he can keep this up. That's all I'm saying.
Okay. Another team that's very, very, very interesting, and that has to be the Golden State Warriors, sitting at 9-2. Look, before the season started, a lot of people were questioning the whole Clay to Dallas move. Should they allow him to get out of the building? What would that mean to the team? You even had somebody on this panel saying Steph Curry was washed and needed to hang it up. I remember hearing it. I don't know. Calvin, do you remember hearing that?
I remember hearing that from that guy over there in the bottom.
Oh, yeah. I remember we was doing our top 10 best players in the league. And somebody
had him outside the top 12.
I mean, it was so blasphemous. It was
disrespectful.
So disrespectful. Like, it was
for a 2-time MVP.
What? Like,
Yeah.
and Steph just been putting on a show. Did you see what he did last night? We're gonna talk about that in great detail. But I said what Steph did in the Olympics, it kind of gave me this look like, I don't know, man. I don't think he's done. That guy got another gear in him. And God damn it, if he hadn't been putting on performance just like we saw in the Olympics, bringing his team back, I mean, just shooting lights out. And they sitting at 9-2 right now, atop the Western Conference with Phoenix and OKC. With both of them teams are experiencing some injuries right now. We'll talk about that a little bit of detail. But let's talk about Golden State and that young squad that he got around him and what he's able to do. The addition, give them credit for going out and get a Buddy Hield, who's been a great addition to that lineup. Justin, your thoughts on these Warriors who you thought were washed?
Wash is iffy. That is a very strong word when it comes to this thing. I just didn't have them going to the playoffs. That's what that is. I wouldn't call them wash. That's just similar to what they did in years past. But with that being said, the best baseball player goes 3 for 10. So when you put that in prediction wise,
We're playing baseball.
That's all I'm saying. You know what I'm saying? No, I was wrong. I was 100% wrong.
We want to clip this and replay it.
And it's just it is what it is. I have nothing.
Your daughter here, like,
okay, y'all hear that, right? All right, so yeah, she good though. But no, it's I was wrong, and I'm okay with that. Steph is balling right now, and he's definitely asserted himself back into that top 10. And it's been a pleasure to see. I just thought that the Olympics was like a peak for him, and he was going to have somewhat of a lull to the early part of the season, and eventually he's going to pick it back up. Wiggins, we're going to show some love to Wiggins. He's turning back the clock. He's taking it back to 2 years ago when he was actually pretty dominant for that team when they made their way to the championship. So shout out to him. Shout out to, like you said, Buddy Hield. Draymond Green is playing efficient basketball for him.
Shooting a three well.
That's very special. They're able to play small ball 5 with him at the 5, and they're actually being successful with it. Because there's not enough bigs to take advantage of it, but it is what it is. So they're doing all the right things, and I'm good for it, man. It's nice to see the Warriors balling.
Yeah, definitely. Calvin, your thoughts on these Golden State Warriors?
Look, Steph rolled that hot hand from the Olympics to the beginning of the season. Draymond, like you said, is playing well. Buddy Hield make you say Clay hoop for a couple games. Like, he was on fire in regard, especially compared to what he was doing last year at the end of the bench in Philadelphia. You're just trying to figure out what happened to Buddy Hield. But they're playing the young guys. Moody, Kuminga have stepped up when they needed to as well.
Mm-hmm.
All around great play thus far, and Steph is leading the way. Even when Steph was out for a couple games, they were still able to take advantage. Andrew Wiggins has come back revitalized, refreshed after going through his personal issues last season as well. So it's great to see him back. They're still young in the season, but they are playing very well, and I'm surprised at it as well. I didn't know if they would be able to sustain it post Clay with Draymond on the downside of his career. Didn't know they had enough scoring. The young guys were able to step up, and Steve Kerr's proven he could still push the right buttons to get the team off to a great start.
Definitely. And we'll get into more of these teams as this show goes along, but I just wanted to lead off with that right up the top. But we have to get into some of these injuries, because a lot of these teams that we've been talking about, we'll be talking about as the top teams, they facing some tough injuries. KD going to be out for another couple weeks with that calf strain. Look, if you've been watching the Memphis Grizzlies, you know that there's a seriously, they were missing Ja Morant the last couple of years. Whatever reason, off the field injuries, issues, then off the court issues, then coming back with the injury last year. But he's battling that same hip has come back. They were playing well. They're going to be without him for who knows how long. They're saying indefinitely, going to monitor him week to week. Paolo down there in Orlando, 6 weeks with an oblique strain. That's tough because Orlando's gotten off to a strong start. He had some pretty strong performances early in the season. And unfortunately, injury has derailed that. You got Chet Holmgren out there in OKC, going to be out for 8 months with a hip fracture. His season is done.
They said 8 months?
8 months, man. I looked it up today. So, yeah, he's out for a while. That's a hip, and that's a long recovery time. Zion, who knows how long he's going to be out. we know he's been battling injury left and right. Big one, Chris Middleton. He's been out all season. We don't know definitively when he's going to come back. Every time they say something, it gets pushed again. So who knows when he'll be back on the court. Kawhi Leonard, I even hesitate on even putting him on the list. When has he been healthy at this point? Lonzo might be back next week, so that'll help Chicago. Maxey, I know Maxey, he might be back as well very soon, so that'll help them. Another one, Aaron Gordon. Aaron Gordon has not been around. He's going to be out for several weeks with a calf, so that Denver lineup hasn't had the firepower, been able to roll off some victories without their full strength lineup. Then you got your boy down there in New Orleans. Look, New Orleans the injury bug just follows them. I think Anthony Davis was always hurt a lot when he was down there. Now you got the same thing with Zion. It might be something about the gumbo. It might be something about the food down in New Orleans. Just gets these guys. And then Kristaps Porzingis in Boston. He seems like he's been constantly hurt the last few years. So a lot of injuries to some top contenders on these teams. If you had to pick what injury is the most significant that's going to derail somebody's season or hold them back from being as great as they are, and we didn't even list Joel Embiid because he deserves his own segment after how he looked last night. Justin, if you had to pick one, who you picking?
That's going to have the most impact on that team through the season.
Yeah, missing them being missing will hurt them long term.
I would definitely have to say Paolo then, because 6 weeks is still a long time, and then we're going to start seeing some of the better teams start to separate themselves from the pack. And I don't know if Orlando can hold it down collectively within that time period. But yeah, and just one thing, I do think it's 8 weeks. It's 8 to 10 weeks for.
Yeah, I was going to say the hit.
It's not 8 months is the season.
8 to 10. So it's 8 to 10 weeks.
It's 8 to 10 weeks.
Yeah,
it's all good.
Source, but go ahead.
Go ahead, Kevin.
Yeah. So I got it as Chet. I was going to say the 8 to 10 weeks because that's when he'll be reevaluated. So there's no guarantee he'll be back at that point. But a couple nights ago, the tallest person they started was Shea at 6'6". With Hartenstein still out, and with them being a championship caliber team, they have no big men in the middle. They have no one inside, and they need to get someone back. I'm not sure how long Hartenstein's out, but I think he's out through the end of this year. I'm sorry, but they have no depth at that big man position. So I think it's the worst injury up here right now is Chet. KD should be back in a couple of weeks, but I think they're deeper than they were last year. Porzingis. Boston is playing well even without Porzingis, so I don't foresee them doing any differently. But right now it's Chet because they got to step up without him.
Yeah. It was weeks. I had an error. Pardon me. Yeah, but I think it's
all good, man.
I think it's Chris Middleton.
Damn sure for those 8 to 10 weeks.
Yeah. That's what I'm saying. I think it's Chris Middleton. I'm sorry. Look, that guy. He's the glue. He's what they're missing. He's that glue guy. That 20, 23-point guy that can give you that.
When was the last time he scored 20, 23 points?
In the playoffs this past season. What do you mean?
He played 2 games in the playoffs.
You just asked a simple question. I just asked you a simple answer.
You asked a simple question. I'm
mad y'all said the same thing.
Like, I'm just saying, like, you just asked the question, and that's where it counts the most, right? In playoffs.
I don't think
you got Dame and when you got Dame and Giannis, how many more 25 points? He's the third scorer. He should be giving you 20 to 25 points a game. That's what you're looking for. And he's missing. I'm sorry. Who's that third guy from Milwaukee right now? You going Bobby Portis for 25 a night? No.
I think they got a lot more problems than that, but
okay. I'm telling you, I think Middleton, if Middleton's there, that's a completely different lineup.
Is Dame hurt? Is Dame hurt as well?
I think they dated. They ain't nothing big. I think he had a concussion or something, like took a head blow or something like that. He'll be fine. They won last night. But again, we've seen some of these other teams be able to withstand it. You got Phoenix, who I think their team is better constructed right now. And I think with KD, he'll be back in a couple of weeks. They have enough scoring power from Devin Booker, enough scoring power from Bradley Beal. Beal has been playing pretty well.
Yeah,
give him all the credit in the world.
He has been.
So again, I ain't had no expectations for New Orleans anyway. So missing Zion, is that a shock? You know what I mean? I'm talking about.
So Why do y'all think these injuries are happening? And some of these injuries are bang plays, like the hip fracture and stuff like that. That's falling and injuring yourself. A lot of these are
Low leg.
soft tissue injuries. Why do you think this is happening so frequently now?
I mean, like with the hamstrings and stuff, you can say you're not prepared to play the start season and you're out of shape, and then you're just trying to use so much energy, and it kind of puts a strain on that part of your body. But with KD's, I mean, he played over the summer. Can you say it's from overuse? You just hope it just doesn't linger. Porzingis has been out. The Pago, the oblique, that seems like it was just stretching wrong. It's just trying to bend your body wrong. But it's a lot of soft tissue injuries, like you're just not prepared for the beginning of the season, in my opinion.
But
So
a
why
lot
do
of
you
these
think
are
these
repeats.
players aren't prepared?
I'm not. Let me not say not prepared. They don't come in to the beginning of the season in the best shape possible. They play their way into shape, and when you try to do that and play 35 minutes and give it your all at the beginning and give it your all while you're still playing your way into shape, it can often lead to this type of injury. So I'm not
I
saying
think
that.
it's the opposite. I think they've been playing too hard. I think some of these players go harder than need be in training camp and preseason. And I think if you look at it, a calf strain, let's say Katie, for example, he's had injuries where he's had ACLs, he's had different lower leg injuries that kept him out for extended period of time. So he's prone to this before. Look at Ja. Ja had the same hip last season. So he re-aggravates something he had before. So I think he trying to overcompensate. Probably was putting more pressure on the other leg. And then when you gotta go into full competition mode all the time, putting the weight on it, I think back and forth repetition is going to go. That's just the way it is.
But I'm looking at it. KD is in what is 17th year, 16th year, something like that, and he's the most tenured player on this list that we're showing. Everyone else is basically under 30, except for Middleton and CJ. Well, I don't even count Kawhi. So it's a bunch of young guys that are still trying to get acclimated to the league that just get these injuries early on.
Yeah.
I think it's somewhere in between that both you guys are saying. I do think that the preseason and things like training camp isn't as strenuous as it was in years past and decades past. So they're not getting a full test of game speed activity. They're walking them through it. So as a result of that, now when the game starts, now you're going 100%. Well, you were just only going maybe 70% in practice if you were going that. But the flip side to that same argument is the fact that these players are having longer careers because they're taking their time and because they are lessening the demands in the off season and things like that. So it's a catch-22. Do you want to have a long career, or do you want to not be as hurt but have a shorter career? I don't know.
But they got the greatest training staffs in the world. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like
the greatest training staffs in the world is not doing anything for Zion.
That's what I'm saying. Like that, it just.
I mean, do you think that someone he just doesn't want to be there? I mean, does that play a part, or is it just his body?
I heard this, and I'm quite sure that New Orleans actually took every precaution here. But if an NBA guy is training Zion Williamson, I think they failed. Why is that? They have another team that's right down the block probably from them, which is the New Orleans Saints. He needs to be training with them because he doesn't have an NBA body. Like he has a football-esque shape to him. He's made for football. He just plays basketball. So if those dudes are training different ways and things like that, I'm quite sure that Zion should probably take up some of their training, because whatever you've been doing up until this point has not been working at all. So the NBA way for him might not be his way. He's a specimen. He's different than everybody else. So,
and this is supposed to be the best shape he's been in this season, and he's still hurt.
Still not acclimated to that body. You know what I mean? Like if we could find the answer, they definitely could find the answer, but we won't know. Let's talk about this NBA Cup. So that's right. It's called the NBA Cup now, not the in-season tournament. We're fighting this rebrand. So as far as I'm concerned, it's still the in-season tournament. It is what it is. But just for those who are not familiar with what happened last year, let's do a quick recap. the Los Angeles Lakers were able to bring home the inaugural NBA Cup. It was very interesting, the reaction of people to the Lakers winning that NBA Cup. The significance it might have had to some and not to others. Calvin, as a Lakers fan, you take pride that your team is the inaugural NBA Cup champion.
With
Yeah,
that
and
being
no,
said, hold on a second. Before you get your thought process, you remember that snippet that Kobe Bryant said that we only hang what? We only hang
oh,
championship banners.
look.
I just want to add that
I
tidbit
completely
to his
agree.
soliloquy to set you
am
up.
I,
So go
am
ahead on
I,
and go. Just go ahead.
am I proud of that? The inaugural in-season champs? Yes. Do I think they should hang that banner? Hell no. Now, from what I read, that the league
I
made
think
them
you're on the
hang. The
fence with
league
that one a
made.
little bit. That's all
No,
I'm
no,
saying.
you can be proud that you won a tournament, but you don't celebrate like a championship. I think
They
that's
sure
two things.
did, though.
Yeah, but from what I read, that the league is giving every inaugural or every NBA Cup champion a banner, and they must hang the banner. So this is just going to happen with every team going forward. Now, I don't like that practice because you're trying to equate it to an NBA title, and it's not on par. But if you want to say that you were the best team up to this point, that's perfectly fine. But it's not. It doesn't equate to winning 7 times in June or winning 16 times in May and June. It does not equate to that.
No.
So, am I proud that they won an inaugural championship? Yes. Do I think they should have hung a banner? Hell no. Like Kobe said, we only hang one. If you're a Lakers fan, if you play for that organization, root for that organization, you only hang one type of banner. That's it. It ain't in-season championships. It ain't Western Conference championships. It ain't number 1 seeds. It's NBA titles, and that's it.
That being said, Justin, if the New York Knicks win this in-season tournament,
Consider you ain't won nothing in 50 years.
what will it mean to the city of New York, given the fact of this history?
It's step one in the process.
Okay.
And what I mean, it's only a 2-step process. Step 1, NBA Cup. Step 2, NBA championship. See, that's where the Lakers fell short. They didn't do step 2. Now, if you can go back to the whole year and say, oh, yeah, we got that little NBA Cup thing. Yeah, we got that. And then we got the NBA championship. Hey, yeah, we was clearly the best team in the league, the beginning, middle, and end. That's what you want to do. So is it step 1? Yes. But now, can you complete the goal without having to go through step 1? Yes, you can. The goal is the NBA championship. But if you want to go ahead on and get that little side quest out the way, then that's what it is. That's what it is. It is the NBA's version of a side quest. It is a side quest to get your extra stats and things like that to go to your championship. It is a side quest. Yes.
Are you equating the NBA Cup to a side chick, like something that just draws your attention?
I said side quest. I'm not going to put down women in this aspect. We need all the women clientele that we can have. So there's no side chicks here. Side quest. Thank you very much.
I think there's levels to this. I think if you're a real contending, like champion, perennial contender, like been on the edge, been on the cusp type team, and you win the NBA Cup, it shouldn't be that big of a deal. But if you're an up and coming team, young players who may be a year or 2 away, maybe you don't have all the pieces. Like if Indiana would have won last year,
they should have been excited for it.
I think that would have. I wouldn't have minded them being very excited for it because the Indiana, you know what I mean? Like good team, solid roster.
Conference finals.
That's what I mean. Like it could have boosted them. It could have gave them an extra But if you're the Lakers with that payroll, with LeBron James, Anthony Davis, like former NBA champions, and like that's like a last hurrah type of award. Like, well, at least we got that. Nah, so I think if the Knicks were to win the NBA Cup, they should celebrate it. They should be celebrating that thing like it's
1972, whatever that year was.
like literally, though, really. What have you won? What have you won? So this is like hope for the future. This is like, look what we can do. This gives your fan base that little taste of, oh my goodness, this team could really do it. I think it's a hope tool. I really think so. Now, if it's a team that's supposed to be there every year, they're not even gonna take it that serious. Go ahead.
I'll add this. I feel like the players are taking it a bit more serious
They
this
are.
year. Um, and I think maybe it was some undisclosed mandate that went out to all the teams, maybe, or maybe the fact that they realized that it is a the eyes are out there more so. So this thing is getting televised. This thing they're doing they change the courts around and things like that.
Yeah.
Like it's not they know that it's being watched. So that's enough to this ain't no regular game. They know that.
Yeah. So let's go over what the NBA Cup rules are. So basically, the Cup nights will only be on Tuesdays and Fridays. So that's what you have to keep in mind. Like there are games tonight that doesn't count in the standings, and those are regular games. I know that is the confusing part for people, but if you just think about Tuesday and Friday are the nights that this tournament is in play, that will make this a lot easier for you. Each team plays 4 teams in its group. So the whole Eastern Conference was separated up into groups. The whole Western Conference was separated up to the groups. Those wins, so it's like a round robin. You'll play everybody once. Those wins will count in your tally, and then whoever has the most wins out of those two will go advance into the knockout round, and we'll get into the dates and all that kind of stuff. It's pretty simple when they break it down. So last night we had several games that were played, and we'll get into those in a minute. But then the schedule's already out. You already know who you're playing in advance, so it's not like they're messing with anybody's schedule, or it's a tournament where you don't know who you're going up against. No, you literally set up the NBA schedule to coincide with how this works. So you already have it far in advance what your Tuesday games are. You already have it in advance what your Friday games are. I think they've done a great job of putting that information out ahead of time for us to be able to follow, set your DVRs. You got a bunch of national television games, and you got some games on the NBA. You know, the little league pass. Some games will only be on league pass. I found it interesting that on opening night of this, you got Mavericks and Golden State and Knicks and Sixers as the opening games, and B coming in for his first game back.
First game
I
back.
thought it was. I haven't looked at the ratings yet, but that'll be interesting to take a look at. What were the Tuesday night ratings for the NBA tournament, in-season tournament, and that will tell me how successful this was. What was your thoughts overall on Knicks Sixers? Justin, let's start with you.
Side note, real quick. You see what we're doing right here? The fact that we got a show on tonight, the fact that we're actually excited about some of these games, that's what the NBA Cup is all about. It's about bringing excitement to the earlier part of the season and not have to wait until Christmas. So that's just to add on to what you were saying. So the main thing, I mean, I'm honestly not taking too much out the 76er game. It was Embiid's first game back. He looked like crap. I mean, I'm just not even gonna lie to you. And he was under minutes restriction. And on top of that, Paul George is getting himself back into shape as well because he missed all but like 1 or 2 games, like the last 1 or 2 games he was playing. And then when he came back, Maxey went out. So you know, this 76er team they're going to be a second half team more than likely, but they're not what they are right now. So I'm just mainly looking at every team that we play against, the Knicks that is, and seeing how we do. We are up and down team right now. Some days we play great, some days we don't. Is Cat being Cat? Yeah, he's been a huge upliftment for us. I think the main problem is one, we probably gave up a little too much from Mikal Bridges. It is what it is. I wish he was just a little bit more consistent. But when he plays defense and when he's in tune, and so is OG at the same time, and then you add Josh Hart, they actually been playing quite well. Jalen Brunson is the main question that I have. He's still under 10 assists. I want him to get plus 10. I want him to get over 10. If you tell me that Jalen Brunson is averaging 10 to 13 assists a game, then I know that we are winning most of those games. That's all I want. That's all I'm looking for. So the losses that happens, the wins that happens, I'm not taking too much stock because it's still early part of the season. But it was good to beat the 76. It's always good to beat Philadelphia.
Can we be honest and say that they aren't meshing yet? Because, you know, Jalen's getting those guys shots, they just aren't hitting them. When we saw Mikal Bridges with the hitch and he kind of went back to his old shot. I mean, I think the game was too close for comfort in Embiid's first game, and you guys pulled away in the fourth quarter. But it's still growing pains on both sides. You know, Philadelphia, they aren't playing back-to-back games. They can't get any cohesion. Maxey is out, and you still have all these guys still trying to get acclimated to New York. So it was a good one for New York. Philadelphia's got to write that ship quick. You can't be 5-6 games under 500 this early in the season and try to dig out that hole. Now they are in the East, so there are a handful of teams in which we all think can make it to the conference finals, into the finals, and I think they are one of them. But you can't let this linger on. You have to get some cohesion. You have to play back to backs. If you want to just sit and rest Embiid, then don't play him to the playoffs. If that's the case. But you have to get him involved. You have to get those guys playing together. And until then, you know, you're going to have these up and downs, and you're not going to have any cohesion in that team. Going back to last week, even though this was prior to the NBA Cup, when Paul George waved off Tyrese Maxey in his first game back, are you trying to prove something, or are you trying to be a team player? Maxey had the hot hand. Maxey was the guy that was trying to get the guys going. He's the one that's played most of the games. Let the offense flow through him. You got to play together, kind of get these things and kind of notice these things, and they just aren't doing it right now.
So I'll push back two things real quick. One, it is I don't think it's that different. It's not that much of an urgency for them. Why? Because they have a good enough team, even well constructed, to the point where as though this is the Eastern Conference. If they make it to the 10th seed long enough just to get into the playing tournament, I feel as if they're comfortable enough where as though it doesn't matter what seed they are in. Me personally, even if they got to go against a Boston or shoot, if the way Cleveland playing, if they manage to keep it going, I think Philadelphia, with injuries and all those things, if they can make it and be somewhat healthy towards the playing tournament, they were like, yeah, we can take Cleveland. They probably have no doubts in that whatsoever. So that's when I don't think it matters too much the early part of the season. After the All-Star break, that's totally different. Second thing, you mentioned the Knicks and how they're playing. It's not necessarily that. When I say that they're missing shots, when you say that they're missing shots, a lot of them not missing shots. It's, let's say OG. OG might be going 5 for 6 in the first half, and he might not get another shot off until like the fourth quarter or something like that. That's a Jalen Brunson thing. That's a Tom Thibodeau thing. They need to work that stuff out. When they have hot hands, they don't consistently feed them. And at the same time, you still got to make sure Cat get his shots. There's some games that Cat only get less than 10 shots. That should never happen. So they have to do things, but that's going to take time as well. The one thing I don't like, and if anybody that's a New York fan, they're going to feel me on this one. Tom Thibodeau is playing our guys a little bit too much too early. I will say that. That's my only thing that I'm pushing back against. The other night he ran basically six guys. I'm like, yo, it's November, bro. You know what I'm saying? But we had some guys that was injured that usually come in off our bench. So their campaign came back last night, and we should get Prince Achua back later on. So I get why he did it, but some other teams are like, look, if this is who I got, 5 minutes go to you, 5 minutes go to you. Hey, you just came from the G League, come on up, 5 minutes go to you. They don't care. Tom cares. Like, yo, if you're not able to play, I'm not going to play you. And I think that's a little bit too early to have that kind of attitude, but that's a Thibodeau squad for you.
So the only thing I'll push back on real quick, and I'll let you go, Larry, is your point about Philadelphia. They haven't won anything, so they haven't done this before. So I don't think that you can say that they shouldn't be worried when they don't have anyone on their team that's playing significant minutes that has done this before. And if this was a Boston or a Golden State or a Dallas and they were into this situation, I wouldn't be worried because they're championship teams. They've gotten to June. They've won in June and before. Philadelphia hasn't made a conference finals. They don't know how to play that far into the season. That's why I said you can't just push it off and hope you can turn on later because your season has an expiration date because you don't know anyone that's gotten past that point that knows how to get there. So you have to build that early and kind of ride that into the season. I'm not saying they have to be the best version of themselves right now, but they can't. The mistakes that they're not making now, they're going to make after the All-Star break when they should be making those now, when they should know who should get the ball in this situation, who should get the ball with 2 minutes left. That's what they should be doing now instead of not playing back-to-backs and getting people and trying to get everyone healthy. That's all I'm saying.
I think that's a great point. But again, when you got a new squad, you're putting them together, you won't know what this team really is about until the All-Star break. And at that point, if it's not working, you got time to make another move. You might need some assets. We'll see. I think it's a little early to really judge this team and what they will be. I do like Cat. I do like the addition of Cat. But again, you gave up something when you gave away Cat. I think you gave up some toughness. And a Tom Thibodeau team, I think toughness is important. Cat not tough. I think that's been proven. All right. I was looking at the ratings a little bit. So last night, Knicks 76ers was the highest rated program on all of television on cable last night. Drew a .58 in 1849, 1.71 million, which is crazy because it was up against Duke in Kentucky, which was also huge on ESPN, which drew a .53. They actually drew a little bit of older audience, which makes sense because of that tradition of that rivalry for college basketball. Kentucky and Duke, two stalwarts. Then you had Michigan State and Kansas right after. So that back-to-back going up against the NBA Cup. Again, this is why they did it, because early in the season, you're battling college basketball just starting. You're battling the NFL. You're battling, everything. Women's college basketball is a phenomenon. And again, so great idea to do this early season cup early. So some other matchups last night that were pretty interesting. Again, we talked Knicks Sixers, and B didn't look like himself, so you don't really see the full tail of that. But that Milwaukee got the win over Toronto. Milwaukee has really been very disappointing.
Struggling.
Very disappointing. Dame's going to be out for a little bit with a concussion issue, but at least they got the win. I have big issues with Doc Rivers. You all know that. Been well documented. But the report I want to talk about is we've been hearing about trade talks, talking about might be shipping Giannis out. Look at everybody who's willing, because they have no assets. They gave up a lot to bring Dame in. They are in that particular cap. What's that cap, Calvin, where they really can't move something because you can't go over some type of threshold?
They're in the second tier of the luxury tax. So yeah.
They handcuffed. So they begging basically at this point. Of course, it's behind whispers, nothing official. But yeah, they trying to move Giannis or Dame at this point, because it might be a point where they need to blow this thing up. Do you think
is this Dame's last year?
Did he resign a deal? Because he resigned in Portland and they traded him a year later. So I don't know how much time he really has left. But if you blow that thing up, is there time to turn this thing around before they would make a decision like that? Calvin, your thoughts?
Look, if you trade Giannis, I don't think that's a midseason trade. That's an off-season trade right prior to the draft. So I don't think you'll see anything this year. Do they have time to kind of turn this thing around? They do, but it's going to take an outstanding play from Giannis. It's going to take outstanding play from Dame, and the defense has to pick it up. And they've just had poor coaching decision after poor coaching decision. They haven't been playing tough. There seems to be some dissension in the locker room. There talks about Dame and Giannis don't even like each other or don't even communicate well. And I think your two stars have to get along, so to speak, even off the court, so that relationship can flourish on the court. So they have time to turn around because they're in the Eastern Conference, and all they have to do is get to that 6th seed, and then they could try to make some noise by beating that 3 seed in the first round. But they have to turn around. I don't know if Middleton is really the key to this, but they don't. What's the move that they make? That's the question. They're stuck with this team. There are really no moves to be made. You don't have any picks. You don't have any assets to use to get better players, to get players that fit the system. So what's the move besides just playing better defense?
Real quick, Damian Lillard, he's signed to next year, and then the 2026, 2027 is a player option, and then he's an unrestricted free agent 27, 28.
There you go.
So they got it for the next couple years.
He'd be damn near 36, 37 by then.
36, 37. Yeah, depending on how good he is, we can see. I mean, Steph is about 36, 37 now. So, I mean, that's not the end of the world, right?
No.
Depending on who your team is.
I don't think they're the same player, but
no, they're not. But
aspect, yeah.
They're,
But I think they could turn this thing around.
36, 37.
They in the East. So. They in the East. Like, look at this. Look at the rankings. Look where we at.
Do you trade Dame? Do you trade Dame?
No. You really your piece is that third piece. Unfortunately, it's Chris Middleton and it's his injuries that you have to constantly keep worrying about. if you tell me somehow, some way they can flip something and bring over a Jimmy Butler or something like that, then I'm like, yo, that's beautiful. That's all they need, and then they're a whole different team. If you ask me, um, it's that middle piece, and unfortunately, they keep having a question mark there. They try to bring in Crowder, that didn't work. It's that small forward shooting guard, that mid piece, that 3-and-D guy, something. They just don't have it, and it's not because players aren't they're underperforming. It's because Chris is just not there. so so you need your guy. You're paying him a certain amount of money. You're paying him
That's
a
the
great
problem.
contract.
The money not there.
You
If you
know,
don't have the money to bring in somebody of quality that can
right?
fill
So
in
it's
that piece, that's the big thing when you have 2 stars. You got to get cheap role players who play above their pay, basically. Like that's what makes Boston so good. Like, why are they so good? Well, you got 2 guys who command like attention, but you also have
Yeah,
role players who do
play their
their
role.
job
Yeah,
and aren't that expensive. You know what I mean? That's why you
they
had.
expensive.
Well,
Just
now
mention
they
them.
are. You
that
know what I
now that they
mean?
won, so
Yeah, now they
they
are.
wanted to keep him, but
That's
up
why you
until
got to win when you got the window. You know what I mean? But you had that guy and you let him walk out your building, like your former point guard. Don't get me started. But anyway, they were able to get a win last night. Another matchup that we watched on night 1 that I thought was pretty interesting because of what we've been seeing is the Atlanta Hawks was able to beat the Boston Celtics. I know a lot of people didn't see that, but I mean, that's a Celtics still. You know what I mean? Like, well, wow. Did they not take it serious? Or did they just fall asleep at the wheel? Is this the same Boston team? Do we see them not being as assertive or aggressive? Calvin, what was your thoughts?
I'm not sure that defense really struggled, and they let Jalen Johnson, I believe, he had a triple double,
Yeah.
which was his first career triple double. But that defense just wasn't on point, and they were at home as well. Tatum struggled. I think he went like 2 of 10 from 3, and he basically went like 5 of 17 overall. So he wasn't able to get any easy shots, and you lose by a point. So that you could find a point there. Drew Holiday's really been struggling on the offensive end as well this season. I think he's averaging under 11, 12 points, but he hasn't had a double-digit scoring game probably in the last 4 or 5. So it's a lot of things there, and you're relying on a bench that's not as deep. You have Horford starting, you're down 1 big man, and even the rookie Rashashir didn't make any threes, but he was a force on the paint and got 9 rebounds along with Jalen Johnson. So they kind of out rebounded Boston as well. So I think it's just a blip in the radar. Boston, Jaylen Brown just came back a couple of games ago, so he's trying to get reacclimated on that team. If they played again, I would take Boston, but I just think it was just one night in which Boston just didn't play defense, and Atlanta took advantage of it.
So I think that they put off the pedal. I think they did that, but it goes down to moments when it comes to the NBA, and this was my problem last year with Jason Tatum when he had the best record clearly, but he wasn't getting MVP nods like that, like he should have, because it was moments in the 4th quarter in which you're waiting for him to stand out. In this game, in the 4th quarter, when they were down, he had a chance to get a nice post-up play, turnaround jump shot, whatever the case may be, and he fumbled the ball out of bounds, or he fumbled it into a turnover. That's your moment right there. Yes, you had a subpar game. Who cares? At the end of the day, make the play when it matters. And he didn't. And yet again, it's going to be plays like this, and it keeps happening over and over again. That she's like, yo, Jason he fills up the stat sheet most times, but he's not clutch, and that's his problem when it comes to MVP. Now, one would argue that Jaylen Brown was having a tremendous game. He should have been one taking the last couple shots. I can give you that too. He chose not to. So however it is, they end up losing. It is what it is. They're not. I don't think they're 100% worried about it because they're blowing out the Brooklyn Nets right now. So it is what it is. But
but that's not in the tournament. Quit.
It's not in the tournament. No, it's not. But they're in season kind of a team. So that's what I said. They're not necessarily worried about themselves. They had championship aspirations, and the NBA Cup will be nice, but it's not on their 100% radar.
Yeah. So about Atlanta, this is a team that nobody really sees anything in, right? Anybody?
No,
Anybody? Anybody? Anybody?
man,
No.
they don't have that pick this year either. So they got to win. Well, they got to try their best to win because they can't tank. So
Yeah, I don't see it.
Play-in team. We'll see what he had there. See if Trey can
playing
make some
team
magic
isn't
happen.
saying much though.
Yeah.
Yeah.
A team that I have a lot of questions about, honestly, a lot of questions about because they're head scratching to me. I know they're not really a threat to do anything, but we've seen them not be quote unquote a threat in the past, and then they get into the playoffs and somehow make it all the way to the finals. Is the Miami Heat. It seems like the same team. They still got the same parts, still got the same guys that who you know. What is this Miami Heat team? Can somebody explain it to me, Calvin?
I look. I expected Jimmy Butler to have a better start to the season after, especially if he didn't get his extension last year. But I just don't know. Bam has had a really rough start to the season as well.
Yeah.
Not sure what's going on there, but even when you look back at this game, this came down to Spoelstra basically calling the timeout when he didn't have any, and then they led to a technical foul shot in which Detroit made, and that gave them a 2-point lead, and that basically was the ball game. So when you go back and look at this matchup, it shouldn't have been that close because of Detroit, but it came down to coaching and the blunder that Spoelstra made, giving Detroit extra possession. But Miami struggling to start the season off, and you just expected more from them. Just expected them to be professional and them to at least take this regular season seriously, and they've come out struggling.
Justin.
There's two things. One, they got 6 losses, just like the Magic has 6 losses. The Magic's third. So, like I said, it's still on the earlier side. Are they the same Miami Heat? No. One would argue that they have maybe too many people of the no pigment variety on their team, and that could be holding them back as well. But Eric Strosa needs to do a better job at controlling the game. I'm gonna let this one pass because he's normally on top of those kind of things when he had a bad timeout. But they're not worried. I don't think Miami Heat is worried. Once again, this is one of those things where it'd be nice for them to win the NBA Cup, but they went to the finals multiple times. They know what to expect when it gets there. So that's what they're worried about, is how they're going to look towards the end of the season after the All-Star break. But they not last in the conference. So I think they'll take that.
So where do you see them? Where did you have them in your ranking as far as in the trajectory of the Eastern Conference?
I don't think I had them in the top 6.
Okay.
So they'll battle between 7 to 10. And they probably feel confident about where they stand at. This is Jimmy Butler-led team. He doesn't care, and it's frustrating at times because you want him to care about the regular season. He doesn't. He only cares about the playoffs. He said, if I'm close enough, then whoever I'm matched up against, I'm gonna take him out, and he's been right for the most part.
Pretty much. All right, so another team that we got to talk about, and that's the Phoenix Suns. We touched on the KD injury, going to hamper him a bit, but they still are loaded when you look at Bradley Beal playing out of his mind right now, way better than he played last year. I think they starting to mesh. I think Devin Booker has accepted his role on his team and really excelled. I think the Olympics did him good as well, playing with other stars in the Olympics. And I said, when you have to play with other stars, it teaches you when to cut your head, when to pull your shot, when to do things. And I thought the Olympics was really good, especially for the way this Phoenix is made up and learning how to play with other players. I think Boston has mastered that. That's why I thought Tatum would be better in the Olympics, because he's used to playing with other people that he needs to share the ball with. But let's move on from that. Justin, your thoughts on this Phoenix Suns team right now?
So what's the main difference in this Phoenix Suns team, if you don't mind?
They signed. They got Tyus Jones.
We know that.
What are you talking about the coaching change?
They got a new coach.
I said that 2 weeks ago.
Yeah. What about this coach? Is he a championship coach or something?
It's called scheme. He actually draws up plays.
He actually setting up plays.
Got the guys playing defense as well.
So they always had some defensive players like Grayson Allen and stuff like that. They'll strap up. But we saw last year Kevin Durant just waiting on a wing to get a pass. That's not Kevin Durant game. He left OKC because he wanted to be in a system where the ball rotates and moves around a lot.
Good
You
point.
just don't let KD sit idle in the corner. I mean, it worked for them a little bit, but that's not his game. He needs to be more involved in things like that. So all of a sudden, you have a better offensive philosophy. You have better movement. Bradley Beal has become an all-around player all of a sudden like he was a couple years ago. Okay, he's bringing his offense back. D Book, like you said, through the Olympics and things like that, he learned how to be more of a team player at a high level. Okay, great. And you got KD that was still being KD up until the injury. So that was the Phoenix Suns that we was kind of waiting for last year that we never got. And then they had injuries last year too, but it's just a different feeling. It's a different feeling in Phoenix right now. And I don't know how this injury would affect them per se. I'm waiting to see how they continue on without KD.
Sure.
But with that being said, they still got Devin Booker and he still got Bradley Beal. They should be just fine.
Calvin.
Yeah, Booker and Beal been playing better. They made some additions to their bench, which I think have really helped their play thus far this year. I really like this Phoenix team. I think they're gonna have a better season than last year. Even with this KD injury, they've decided they're not more than just staying afloat. They've actually won a couple more games than I expected. So you can allow KD to get these couple weeks in, get a little bit of rest, and come back fresh. And we know he's gonna know how to monitor his body, know how to play those minutes correctly. So I really like this Phoenix team. I think they're gonna be dangerous come playoff time. Or they come NBA Cup time as well because they're really playing well to start the season.
Definitely. A team that we had expectations for, I think a few of us did preseason, that has kind of been disappointing has to be the Minnesota Timberwolves. They lost to Portland, which is a lowly Portland team, but in season tournament opener on Tuesday night. But overall, I don't think I've been impressed with the lineup changes. I don't think I've been impressed with the rotations. I don't think I've been impressed with the play of their star players. I don't know. Something seemed like it's amiss. I'll start with you this time, Calvin. What is your thoughts on what we've been seeing from these Minnesota Timberwolves thus far in 2024?
I still think it's a team that has new pieces that need to get acclimated to those new pieces. When you have Randall and you add DiVincenzo, you remove Cat from the situation, who was the face of your franchise for some time, that being that first number one pick. You're trying to fit Nas Reed in and trying to figure out where Rudy Gobert fits in as well. So they have some moving pieces they're trying to still fit in. So I'm not as worried about them. Anthony Edwards has been shooting great to start the season. I believe he was the first player since Steph to make 53s in the first 8 to 10 games, I believe. He's been shooting phenomenally post Olympic play kind of coming in as well. So I'm not worried about them. I just think that they just have to acclimate those pieces better, and it's still a work in progress. It's kind of like New York. They're still trying to figure out where everyone fits in. So early in the season, they still work those pieces around. I'm not as worried about them as you are. I think they'll be ready when it comes time.
Justin.
So you said they had new pieces, right? And they got to work them in their system, right?
Yeah.
Okay. Julius Randle is a new piece, right?
Yeah.
Let me know if this is good for you. 11 points, 3 for 9 from the field, 6 rebounds and 2 assists. That's what they're trying to work in? That guy? The guy that we let go.
Yeah.
The guy that they let Cat go for.
It was more than that. It was more for.
It was more than okay, cool. Because had they had a more efficient player and not the ups and downs of a Julius Randle, they beat Portland. They will beat a Portland team.
You sound like you feel pretty good about that trade.
I'm just saying.
Of course, it comes down to Randall now. 2 months ago it was this. This is going to fit. Now it's
that's a different situation. Look, it's what have you done for me lately? This is what type of thing the game this is. This is a Janet Jackson type of a league right here. So with that being said, the velvet rope lining for the Minnesota Timberwolves is clearly the play of Julius Randle. It's going to be up, then they're going to be a better team. If he gives you those Julius Randle type performances that the New Yorkers are kind of used to from time to time, then they're going to lose and it's going to look bad. And that's what happened. Why? Because he's still going to demand his shots. That's the problem. He demands his shots. He's got to get it. You got to give it to him. And when you don't give him the ball, guess what he's going to start doing? He's going to start pouting. He's going to get frustrated. And he's too big and and shoulder bulky to get all pouty and stuff like that. All I'm saying is that one, I'm glad I ain't gotta see it no more. But Minnesota, this is the player that you're getting. So it's up to Naj Reid. Naj Reid had 28 points that game. He played well. Anthony Edwards had a high 20. Like they did what they supposed to do. It was that third guy. McDaniels played well. It was that other guy, the guy they brought over. It was that guy that didn't play well. That's the reason why they lost.
Yeah, I mean, look, Anthony Edwards averaging 28 a game this season. He's doing his part. I'm not knocking him. I just think they're missing some help consistently from the role players, and they don't have that cat guy to be that number 2. So they got to fill that with multiple people now. So interesting. Let's go over to that Charlotte and Orlando game. I know we know the injury to Paolo is a blow to that lineup, but they still be able to put points on the board. What do you see from this Orlando team that you like thus far early in the season? Justin, let's start with you.
I was actually surprised at the outcome of this game. If you've been watching the Charlotte Hornets, LaMelo Ball has been balling.
Been balling.
Game winners and everything, game ties and things like that. He got the kid, last year's rookie. What's last year's rookie name?
Brandon
something, right? Him. He's been balling for them, right? So they actually have a nice flow to their game right now. So when I seen them go and get some win, I said, yo, they got this in the bag. This is the type of tournament where LaMelo Ball can become more of a superstar, right? This is what it does for them. Not necessarily the LeBron Jameses of the world. It's the NBA Cup is slightly designed for those other guys. Most people didn't even know Halliburton's name last year until the NBA Cup. And it's like, oh, okay, I see what they're doing over there. He just had some bad games right afterwards, right? But this is the type of thing. So with no Paolo and LaMelo been balling, I said this is definitely Charlotte's to win.
LaMelo been averaging 30 points a game. So
and they got destroyed. And I was surprised at that. The Wagner boy was dominating. This Atlanta team is proving themselves to be a good, solid team, and Paolo takes it to another level. So, I didn't expect them in the top 4, but the way they're playing now, and once Paolo gets back, and it wasn't like he was putting up crap numbers. He gave you a 50 piece. He gave you a 37 piece before he left out. This Atlanta team is they people looking sideways at them like, yo, they coming. They here. So it's nice to see Orlando balling like that.
Franz Wagner's really stepped it up since Paolo went out, and they've beaten the team that they're supposed to beat to kind of stay afloat until Paolo gets back, even though it's still going to be some weeks. So Orlando's been playing well, and like I said, Franz Wagner has really stepped his game up, being the number 1 option. I think he's basically averaging 28 since Paolo went out. So it was a good victory for them. Like you said, LaMelo's been balling, but just Franz Wagner was just better last night.
Yeah, definitely. So, we talked about that Warriors game with Dallas, but just to put a pin in it, it was good to see Clay come back home and the fans put on the captain hats and really gave him a salute. And I was thinking about this. I said, what star player have we seen leave a team and come back and the fans didn't boo him right away? And I'm sure there's a list.
Define star.
That's what I mean. Like
Paul George just complained about that last week. Or a couple days
about him?
Yeah. About them booing him going when he went back to when he went to the LA, back to LA.
Yeah. So it's very rare that you give somebody the type of welcome home that he got, especially leaving to go to a contender in the West and everything like that. But he was a champion. You know what I mean? Clay won 3 titles for that place. He meant a lot to that town. He did a lot in the community. I think he definitely deserved.
You definitely tried to short him one.
4. He got 4 titles?
Yeah.
Steph got 4 titles, man.
Damn.
Draymond got 4 titles, man.
You tried to short him one.
Damn, I forgot that last one. They did pull one out.
That's why number 31, 3 plus 1.
Hey, good, congrats to them, man. That's good. Clay, I thought he played well. The man shot well. I thought he was about to get himself a dub until Steph went nuts. But can you think of another star player, like a real star, that left and then came back and the fans received them the way we saw Clay last night? Calvin?
I got one, but go ahead, Cal.
You give you a one because I don't have that.
If I'm not mistaken, I think this is before the Drake incident, but I think DeMar got a lot of love when he went back to Toronto. So
When he was in San Antonio.
yeah,
Okay.
he got love going back to Toronto.
Okay.
You got to kind of leave on good terms. Most players don't leave on good terms.
That's the problem.
That's the
Yeah.
problem.
I mean,
But
if that's the case,
Kawhi went back to San Antonio, he ain't get no love.
LeBron, when he went back to Cleveland as a member of the Lakers post title, but I mean that's different.
That was different. The first time is what really counts.
I'm saying the first time was way different. I do remember one. Wade going back to Miami when he was in Chicago. I remember that one.
What about when he was in Cleveland?
No, I'm talking about the first time he went back to Miami when he was a member of Chicago. Not then.
Okay. He left Miami and went right to Chicago, right? And then went to Cleveland.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
That might be one. But they got that look back with that statue. So yeah, yes, one way or another, you know what I mean? I think Clay, he meant a lot. Injuries really hurt his career. Let's call it what it is. To say that about a 4-time champion is crazy, but Clay, honestly, had Clay not gotten hurt, how many titles does Golden State win?
I think they won 4. I don't think they win one anymore.
I think they win that year. I think they win 5.
I think it would have been a nice series.
You think they beat Toronto is what you're saying?
Against Toronto, yeah. Had he not gotten hurt.
And if KD don't get hurt, they win 6.
I mean, you're saying the KD situation is different, but I mean they were down 3-2. I don't know if they win that game. That's why I say that.
Hey, before he got hurt, he started to be Game 6 Clay. Like he was that corner.
Correct, but even when he got hurt, they were still down. So they still had some work to do.
I'm just saying, long term, the injury derailed his defensive ability. It derailed everything about his game.
Because I mean, the next year is the bubble, but Steph breaks his hand that year.
Yep, that was it.
They get Wiseman next year.
Clay was never the same.
I mean,
Clay was never the same.
I think Clay was important during that. Was it the Phoenix series the year they won the title in 22?
Yeah, but he wasn't like a defensive stalwart anymore.
Oh no, defensively,
that's what I mean.
Defensively,
if Clay never gets hurt,
but they had Andrew Wiggins for that. That was the point. They had Andrew Wiggins for that.
Could you imagine if they had both at full strength? That's my point.
Like don't forget about Jordan Poole. Jordan Poole was Clay's replacement.
Yeah.
Until he had a replacement
running with a fist.
Yeah, but anyway, very interesting stuff. I thought it was a good opening night of the NBA tournament, in-season tournament. And night 2 looks like it's going to be some interesting matchups. We'll preview that before we get out of here. So Friday coming here, you got the Lakers in San Antonio on ESPN Friday night, and then you have the Memphis Grizzlies and the Golden State Warriors. So Golden State getting back-to-back nights in the big spotlight. What do you think about these 2 national TV games? There are more. I'm about to pull the rest of them up. But the Lakers, give us some thoughts on what your thoughts on the early season Lakers thus far, Calvin.
I mean, they still struggle shooting from outside. Then defensively, they're also still having problems as well. But Anthony Davis has been playing well. Outside of the finger poke a couple of nights ago, he's been putting up consistent numbers. Reeves has been playing well. One thing I do like, do you notice the flow of the offense motion with the new coach and JJ Redick? A lot of backdoor screens, a lot of easy baskets to try to compensate for not being able to hit that outside shot. So I do like what I'm seeing from them early on. If they could just kind of play better defense, and if you can get another center, so AD doesn't just have to bang with some of those big guys consistently, then I like the team a little bit more. But you need shooting, you need a center, and it's still the same issues you had last year. You just have a better coach, in my opinion.
Justin,
in the words of Jay-Z, they had a spark when they started, but now they just garbage. They had a spark in the earliest part of the season. They went 4-1 or something like that. They were like, "Oh my God, the Lakers this, the Lakers that," and then they lost almost every game afterwards.
They got a better record than your Knicks.
That's neither here nor there.
Fighting words.
That's neither here nor. How many wins you got?
6.
Oh,
How
shit.
many
Fighting
you got?
words.
How many games you played?
Damn.
10. How many?
That's neither here nor there. The fact of the matter is, we had one more games within the last few games than you had. So that tells you
You
that's
played
a
one
problem.
more win to get the same amount of wins we
That's
got.
a problem. You can't start here. You can't start here and then end up here. That's what they're doing, right? So they
y'all
started
started
high,
here
and we went up and
stayed
down.
here.
We went up
Y'all
and down.
haven't gotten any better.
That means that we can still go up and play, and we can still go up. You guys are going down,
10
and you
games
hope
and
to
haven't
go
gotten any
back
better.
up. We only talking
Has
about
Mikal
10
Bridges
games
gotten
here.
better? Has OG gotten better? It's Jalen Brunson or nothing right now.
Jalen
John Hart has not gotten better.
You're right. They can
They're
all shoot
running you
perimeter
guys
shots,
to the
though.
ground.
They can shoot perimeter shots. Can you?
Oh,
and
shit.
That's
Did you
the
see
reason
Mikal
why
Bridges
you
with that
guys are
hitch? Is
losing.
Mikal Bridges hitting outside shots?
That's the reason why you guys
Is
losing.
Mikal Bridges
I'll
hitting
take
outside
Mikal over
shots?
D'Lo.
Ain't nothing like New York and LA, boy.
I'll take him over D'Lo. Alrighty then.
I'll take AD
So-
over Cat.
Say what?
I'll take
Oh.
AD over Cat.
Okay, yeah,
That's why
okay.
I'm
So
I'll
when he
take
gets
Braun
injured,
over
you still
Jalen
want him?
Brunson. I'll take
When he
Braun
gets
over
injured,
Jalen
you still
Brunson.
want him?
I'll take JJ Redick over
when LeBron
Tibbs.
James slows down,
I'll
you
take
still want him?
JJ Redick over Tibbs.
Okay, me
Damn.
too. That's neither here nor there.
Damn.
The fact of the matter is, no, and that's the Lakers' problem. It's outside shooting. It's people jacking up shots that shouldn't be jacking up shots. I'm waiting on the clock. D'Lo's not going to stay there too much longer. JJ can't stand him. He's telling LeBron to be more assertive at times. And LeBron's not. I don't think that's in him to do that right now. He's a coasting kind of a player.
Think LeBron not listening?
I just think that he knows himself. He knows himself. He knows his body, and he's pushing back a little bit. No ruffles, no issues or nothing like that.
Mm-hmm,
And we hope that AD stays prime AD. That's a very big hope. Because AD is AD. We know what that is. He's always disappointing, and unfortunately, you might have that right now. So with Friday coming up, I expect Victor to put on a show, man. This is
I think
the
you a day
NBA
early.
Cup is for players to step up and to get spotlight on unknown or unproven commodities. Here we go, Victor. This is your show.
Been shooting the
Friday
three.
night.
You a couple days early. He got 50 tonight. So
you got 50 tonight?
Yeah, you a couple days early.
Yeah, he was shooting
that
three.
This is
out
why I
the
said that he's a top 10 player. It's
coming on.
scoring 50
It's against the
points.
Wizards. It's against the Wizards. Calm down.
It don't matter who against.
the Wizards.
Still got to make the buckets, baby.
50 points is 50 points.
Still got to make the buckets.
I'm low key pulling
playing
for
for Pop,
Antonio
baby. Pop had a
Victor,
stroke,
man.
He got 50 on 8 of 16 3. Yeah. He got 6 rebounds though.
There you go. Doing it for Pop, baby. Don't matter.
6 rebounds.
That man been shooting threes, baby. I mean, he lingering out there.
Trying to be KD instead of Giannis.
Yeah, I'm gonna get these points one way or another.
He would never be honest, so he should be more towards KD.
I ain't mad at him.
Yeah,
but let's take a look at the way these brackets set up. So again, each team will play each other in their bracket. So it was kind of randomly put together. So again, we've already seen a couple of these matchups go down. But the Lakers are playing San Antonio. You'll also see them against Phoenix, which will be interesting. That OKC and I'm interested in that OKC San Antonio matchup. I think they're not that far off. I know
they get killed. They ain't got nobody inside.
He's up, but
I'm talking about OKC.
Oh, he's on OKC. Okay, yeah. I'm about to say, I know that's your team, so I wasn't sure. But yeah, that's an interesting group there. But then that bottom, boy, look at that bottom group outside of New Orleans. The rest of them groups got some big time star talent. So you can get key quality matchups each and every time, basically outside of a layup against New Orleans, which would look like to me to be the odd man out there. At the top, that's like wow. I mean, if Minnesota don't get their act together and come up out of there, even though you gotta keep your eye on Houston. Houston ain't to be played with either. Should be interesting. Over in the East, yeah. Brooklyn always seems to pull something out there, tail. So never blink on them. But we'll see what Joel is able to put together. I think the Knicks probably will be the class of that one. That middle group, though, a lot of question marks all over the place. I think Indiana probably the most stable team in that particular group. And then that bottom group, you got Boston and the Cavaliers are playing out of their mind. So those two are going to match up again. Any particular matchup you're interested to see coming out of that? Let's start with that West B section, Justin.
That's tough, man. I don't expect OKC to fully perform to their best abilities. The fact that they don't have a adequate big man and who you're playing against there. I mean, they all have bigs. Even I'll take Nurkic over some of the options that OKC is going to perform well. He'll have one of those 20 rebound type games. Like, where the hell that come from? Oh, because they don't have nobody else over 7 feet that can play. So I'm not worried about the Jazz and anything like that. But like I said, this is for players to step up and get some love for them. I'm trying to tell them about Victor. You beat me to the punch. So yeah, I think it's Victor, and I think it's Victor's to show for that round.
Good, Calvin.
Are these the same groups as last year? Though, do we know that?
No. So they basically look at your record, and then they put certain people into a pool and drew it, and then it's tiebreakers will determine all that kind of stuff as well. But anyway, it's not the same. No.
Okay.
What you looking for out of East A?
I would say Knicks and Sixers, but it's got to be Knicks and Magic. I want to see if Paolo was healthy. This would be an even better matchup. But I want to see Franz step up in Paolo's absence and continue to grow. If you can get that nice 1-2 punch with Paolo and Franz, they could run the East in the years to come. I think that's the best matchup that you can possibly see. We don't want to see Philly right now. Philly's not playing tough. Philly's not off right now, and I think the Knicks are the class of that group right now. So. I think they're the best two teams.
West C. You're muted.
West C. I thought I hit the button. I failed. I want to say Denver to continue to win it, but I mean eventually some of these other teams got to step up. Pelicans and the Grizzlies, they're done. It's a wrap for them, at least for right now. But I'm gonna ride this Steph train as long as I can. I owe him that much. I respect this due to Steph, so I'm gonna rock out with Golden State against either one of the other two, Denver and Dallas.
What are y'all thoughts on the Mavericks thus far this season? Have you been impressed? Is this what you expected? Because they kind of seem like they're not living up to the preseason hype. Is it too early? What's the situation in Dallas right now, Calvin?
I mean, they're trying to fit in a key piece, and it's just been rough going forward. Just to start the season, they've had a tough schedule too. They played Denver, they played Phoenix. I think they played Orlando as well, and just played the Warriors. So they've had a pretty tough schedule, but you're trying to implement Clay as well. And I think you haven't figured out the rotation because you can't have Clay, Kyrie, and Luka out there at the same time because you don't have any defenders on the wing. I think that's part of the problem. You're trying to fit these three in, but you're trying to ride the hot hand as well. And you have Luka out there for the majority of the time. And I think that they're still trying to figure out everything. But once they figure out the rotations, they'll be fine. It's just a matter of trying to fit these three guys in a rotation that's going to fit as best defensively as it can because they give them a ton of points as well.
He is 100% correct. I think they wanted more from Quentin Grimes. They're more traditional 3-and-D kind of guy. He's been underperforming as well. The boy Jones that left him in the offseason, Derrick Jones, they miss him. They might not want to admit it or not, but they definitely miss his defensive presence, at least pressure. That is. If they have him, maybe Steph don't go off like that. It's small things like that is going to turn around and bite them. But it's still early, and you have three offensive greatness, just three offensive weapons that they'll eventually get they'll get in sync. I think Kyrie is kind of playing a little bit subdued, just because he knows what he can do, and he doesn't necessarily need to put up the 30s and stuff like that. 20 to 25 is all he needs to do. And like I said, if Steph didn't go off, they win this game against Golden State. So it took a Olympic performance from Steph in order for them to come back and win. So they're okay. They just need to play a little bit more, much better defense. But they'll be fine.
Okay. How about the East Group B, Justin?
You can say no
I
one.
hate. No, I won't. Indiana's going to run away with this.
His best
They
team yet.
have they have a team where as though you just you got to put on your track shoes, man. Very Sacramento of a couple years ago. When you play against them, they're gonna spread you. They're gonna shoot threes, and I
Pause it.
dare you to beat me by doing that. That's what they do. And it
You aren't
doesn't catch
worried.
up with them until the playoffs.
You
Really,
ain't worried about Halliburton?
no, I'm not.
Okay.
Not at all. They don't. Rick Carlisle got them boys just running and gunning, man. And we're gonna put up about 60 to 73s probably, and see if you can beat me. So that's what I think they are ahead of everyone else because of that.
All right, Calvin. EC. What you got?
No, it's easy. It's Boston, Cleveland, the best two teams in the conference thus far. Cleveland's still undefeated. You want to see how far they could take it. You want to see if they could beat the best of the best. It's easily the best matchup. I think it's Cleveland, Boston. And I think actually both teams get in because they take the team with the best point differential. I believe is the fourth seed from each set of groups. So I got both of those teams getting in. But that's the matchup that you want to see. And we'll see that in a couple weeks.
Definitely. So it should be interesting overall. I think that we're going to have a good time with this. And I like the round robin. I'm always been a fan of round robin tournaments where everybody plays everybody, and then we determine at the end who's the best. I like that. They do it a lot in professional wrestling. Always the best way to determine a champion, in my opinion. So again, this has been fun. We're not going to go 2 hours like we do for our Get Off the Damn Fence, but we just want to do a check-in, go around the league, talk about what's going on, the games we just witnessed, look a little ahead. Should be fun checking in on Friday night, some of these matchups, and we're going to try to come back. We might hold off a little bit, maybe till Monday. How about that? Does Monday work for you, fellas?
Yeah.
I think Monday works. So we'll do a Monday night NBA check-in from the weekend, and then be back with Get Off the Damn Fits for a full show on Tuesday nights, so that we go back-to-back nights. That'll be 3 nights in a row, but we can do it. We can do it. That'll be our schedule. Monday, Tuesday, and Wednesday. So to check in with us Monday, Tuesday, and Wednesday of next week for the next few weeks. And we'll be out of your way. You can enjoy all your games for the weekend. And then you can get full coverage right here. Get Off the Damn Fits exclusively on YouTube for this particular show. And we thank you all for tuning in. Calvin, any final thoughts before we get out of here?
Man, a lot of good games this week. Check those games out. If you got a chance, hit a couple arenas, but a lot of good basketball games coming on this week. And hopefully we start to get these stars back healthy for the long run. You're able to see great basketball throughout the rest of the regular season. So,
Justin.
Hey man, it's just the NBA Cup. You know what? We are putting awareness. You can't say we're not doing our job. We are bringing awareness to the NBA Cup and the importance that is. So shout out to Get Off the Damn Fence.
Check Adam
Shout out
Silver.
for Larry for coming up with this idea. I love it. Giving props to the NBA Cup.
That's it. So again, be back with us Monday night
want to be like
live here on YouTube, and then Tuesday night we'll be back on Facebook and YouTube for regular Get Off the Damn Fence, and then we'll be back for another episode, another check-in after next Tuesday night's game on Wednesday.
Right.
So you're gonna get a lot of us get used to it. We need you. We need you. Share, like, tell your friends, tell a neighbor, tell everybody that Get Off the Damn Fence providing the best coverage of sports, period. Football, basketball, UFC. We got boxing this weekend. We got UFC. We got some big stuff going on. Professional wrestling. The Survivor Series is coming up. We've been promising wrestling coverage. I promise you, Wrestling is kicking into full gear, and we'll be talking about that too. So again, we got something for everybody right here on the 695 Crew Podcast Network. We doing this thing big. We taking this thing to double levels in 2025. You're going to see even greater things. So we just thank you for tuning in, and we want to keep this going and pump up this YouTube station. So thank you all. We'll see you next week right here. Get off the damn fence. All right, holla.